Hi, everybody, and welcome back. My name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. Today's tip is to learn to harvest food in the wild. So, for the purpose of this video, harvesting refers to fishing, hunting, and foraging. So, I I suck at fishing. I'm trying to teach myself. I don't think I'll ever be a hunter. I cannot butcher my own food. Um, the whole fishing thing is hard enough, like prepping a fish. And then foraging, what I don't tend to eat. Um, sorry, my hair's bugging me today. I don't tend to eat a lot of veggies, but you can harvest fruit, you can harvest root vegetables. So foraging is another option. So with the economy not being sure where it is, whether we're going to hit mass inflation or a depression or a recession or whatever, and seeing numerous people struggle and seeing the price of everything go up. My taxes went up 20%. My property taxes went up 20% this year. Tips are down. So uh supposedly you're not going to get taxed on tips, but you're just not going to get taxed on cash tips. You're still going to get taxed on credit card tips or tips in the app. So a lot of people have decided that they're not going to tip now because if I'm not getting taxed on it, they're not tipping, which is a real jackass move, in my opinion. Um, because it still costs money. So now a lot of us are like, you know what? If they're not tipping, we're just not going to go. We've done this before where certain people, we just won't take their orders and it will have to go to promo where shipped themselves is going to pay us what would be comparable to the tip. Because some of these people just, I'm sorry, but when you get $300 worth of groceries and it takes me over an hour to shop for your groceries, and then I have to drive 15 minutes and carry them all, I feel like that deserves a tip, especially because it's like my gas, my time, my everything. And the shipped expects you to tip. So, we just kind of put those people to the side. So, and it sounds horrible, but then again, I can't afford to be paying to do this job. And when I spend an hour shopping for something and it pays like, and then I have to drive 4 miles there and 4 miles back, so like 8 miles, and the pay is like $17. I've just given you an hour of my time for less than minimum wage, essentially, once you figure in expenses. So, yeah, anyways, I digress. So pay is going down. People we're experiencing layoffs, everything's going up. My taxes went up 20%, my HOA fee went up 20%. And luckily my housing expenses are already super duper low. But for some people, I don't know how they're going to weather the storm. My taxes went from, what was it? Trying to think, around 600 to around 800 or something like that a year. So for me, my property taxes are pretty low. However, if my property taxes were like $5,000 and they increased $1,000 to $6,000 a year, that's almost $100 a month. That's significant. And then if it goes up again, and then same with HOA fees, like at least it includes my water and trash. But so we need food, we need clothing, we need shelter, right? Shelter, I've already gone over some alternative ways to get shelter. Clothing is tough, but you probably already own some. Keep it nice. And then food. Food's the big one because food is your consumable that you need every single day. So by learning to harvest food in the wild, you can supplement and help with that grocery bill. Um, some caveats. I knew a woman who loved to forage. She grew up in a country where foraging was common. A large portion of the population foraged. It was just what they did. And nobody really used pesticides or weed killer or anything. It's not the way it is here, right? So she would frequently see, and she was always flabbergasted at how people just wasted all of these dandelions in their yard. They just never bothered to pick them. They never bothered to eat them. And I mean, she would like cook them and freeze them and put them away. Well, her son was like 20. She was like 36. Very pretty, very nice woman. And she became incredibly paranoid. She became delusional. She had not previously been diagnosed with schizophrenia. These symptoms were all new and showed up in her mid-30s. Her son, 20 years old, had to all of a sudden, he had to grow up real quick. And it's not easy to take care of somebody who's delusional. He's too young to be dementia, even early on to set dementia. And the suspicion was that she had just consumed too many dangerous pesticides and herbicides and stuff. Because I got news for you, that Roundup that can cause huge health issues to people who use it regularly, I guess it's not great if you eat it either. However, that's why you need to be careful where you forage. She was not careful. I mean, this girl, I remember up in Chicago at a parade or something. I can't remember. And we were like, no, you can't just pick the sweet potatoes. She's like, why not? It's food. It's food. They're good. We're like, yes, but right now it's landscaping. And, we were like, maybe at the end of season, she's like, no, it's time. I'm like, I don't think Chicago is going to be happy with you if you start picking and harvesting their sweet potatoes. Because they were like in a landscaped area. Like it wasn't like they were just like, randomly somewhere. They were clearly part of the landscaping. However, that said, I also know somebody who can butcher meat and build stuff, and they forage a lot. And I asked them, I'm like, how do you know it's safe? And I told them the story about the women I knew who had experienced major challenges. So there's some things they do. First, they only forage in areas they know. Second, they ask first. So if typically they there's like forage groups, and they will all forage in this person's yard or at that person's land, or in public lands where it's allowed and where there's not going to be pesticides or anything. So there's certain rules about where to forage, and it's something you learn by doing it. Like you should probably know these rules before you go and forage the first time. And then they also have apps and books, and they've done it so long they can recognize the different plants and all sorts of different things. So that can add to the thing. I know I was walking last summer and smelled wild garlic, so I'm pretty sure that's there. And I saw mustard growing wild, like mustard flowers, whatever. Like I was like, oh, what are these flowers? And I was like, they were all over the place. And then I looked it up and did the whole Google image search, and it was mustard. And I was like, dang, that's kind of cool. Mustard just growing wild. So learn like the ins and outs of foraging, but kind of learn to harvest some sort of food. Whether you learn to fish or you learn to hunt or you learn to trap. I am not going to be hunting or trapping. That is a skill set I don't think I'll ever have. I don't think that I could kill an animal, and I certainly could not butcher them. Even if I had great fine motor skills, I don't think I have it in me to, to do that mentally. And not that I'm against it. I'm not like, oh, how dare you? It's just that I personally can't, because we all have our strengths and weaknesses. I'm gonna try and practice fishing. I fished when I was younger. I always sucked at getting them off the hook. I always sucked at processing them. So I'm gonna work on those skills. And I am going to learn to forage. So those are the 3 harvesting things that I am going to be practicing. Well, I guess 2, fishing and foraging, just multiple aspects of both. And then see if I can help to supplement my grocery bill or whatever, kind of lower it. Because if I am foraging, then I am getting a certain amount of sustenance for free, essentially, just, putting in the effort. I don't know anything about foraging at this point. I am still learning, but I feel like it's a valuable skill and we could all learn it. So maybe once I learn more, I'll do a video on it, and hopefully I don't get sick or anything from it. But yeah, I think that it's a valuable skill to learn. So that's my next big project. Anyways, again, my name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. If you want to hear more, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.